Facebook. Let me know if you're watching this on replay so I know that you were here. I'm going to share a story I've never shared before today publicly. So I hope this will bear well, but we'll get started in just a little bit and everything. What's going on, everybody? Hey, today I'm going to share with you a story I've never shared publicly before, but it'll help you with your business. And what happened is I met a legit scam artist, hung out with him for around a month. He ended up going to jail, but I learned three valuable business lessons that I want to share and submit to you. And I think you're going to find this interesting as well. And note, I'm not saying scam people. So if that sounds interesting to you, be sure to like this, share this. You might consider subscribing as well too. Grateful to see everybody everywhere. Ali, what's going on? Steffi, what's going on? And let's go. All right. I haven't told my family this, so I'll tell you guys, and I'm sure my family will see this. But I remember I'm in the network marketing space. I've been a professional here for 16 years, and something that we're always doing, and in any business and any sales, you're constantly looking for prospects, right? In network marketing, you're selling the product to the end consumer. You're also building sales teams to go sell the product. So there came a day when I was promoting a product. We promote these body balancing drops. And I saw somebody appear on my social media that seemed larger than life. I looked at his profile, looked like anyone else's, but he presented himself super well. Marketable, living the high life, seemed very successful. He was running some credit business and was raising funds and all these cool things. Seemed very influential. I'm like, man, this guy seems like one of those people I would love to have on the team from first glance. And guess what? One day he commented on a post. I prospected him and he's like, I want to go buy one of your biggest packs. And he bought it cash. It was pretty quick. I'm like, wow, that was like $800 there. I'm like, wow, this person looks like he actually might have some influence. It looks like he has some resources. Maybe we can actually have some partnership here. So I start talking with him, and next thing you know, he ends up joining the sales team, and we end up wanting to start to support this person. Now, he flipped it around, and what was fascinating is he presented himself super well. And basically, he presented himself with a business where he would do some type of credit thing, and he would raise funds to go buy debt and do this thing. And somehow investors made money and stuff. And it sounded really nice because he was convicted. And he actually offered me and my wife a job to go work with him. And I'm like, I guess. I mean, like, he saw value in us. I'm like, all right, let's go see what this is like. It's not um, hurting anything with my existing business. And I thought I could have many connections, many leads. And next thing you know, he starts planning some business trips and we start living an interesting life. We actually go around to places like Texas, go to New York, go to Miami. And every single time we go to these places, money was never an issue. In fact, it felt like we were living a celebrity life. We're getting the biggest mansions, we were eating out at the finest places. He always covered the tab. And it was just like this weird feeling of, wow, I guess this person really is well off. And he was very charismatic. And we were at the coolest of places. It was a very unique and fun experience. And within a couple of weeks, though, things started getting a little fishy. This person would regularly get drunk. This person seemed like, while he seemed like he was doing business, it didn't really seem like he was really doing business. I was just thinking, well, maybe he was just, scaled so much that he didn't really need that. But he was a lovely guy. But at the end of it, I remember one of the people that we had connected with shot me a message, and he was just like, bro, did you know this guy is a legit scam artist? I'm like, no, really? Like, how's that possible? Right. I'm in network marketing, so I'm used to dealing with the scam objection. And, this person I knew, or I thought I knew. But then they started showing me articles. They started telling me this person was wanted in the state that he was in. And all of a sudden, the veil was torn and was evident that this person was legitimately on the run from the authorities. And what he did is he had a fake business that seemed like it did very well. And he would then have investors come in, drop hundreds of thousands of dollars for this credit business that he had. And he would use that money not for any business, that was just his own money. Like he would just use that to go live life. So he would go around, and maybe if you guys have ever watched Netflix a little while back, They had this they had this movie called The Tinder Swindler. And it's very similar. Had a fake business, got tons of money from people that wanted to invest. And what he would do is start dodging them, run away, and start dodging the question. I believe God's hand was in this. I remember it was a time that I proposed that my mother-in-law actually invest with him as well too. And for some reason, he denied that investment, which is kind of cool, right? So we were not hurt. There were people that we saw that were hurt. And at the end of the day, this guy did get arrested, and I believe he's still in jail right now. You know, so I bring this up first. It's a fascinating story. I guess if there's one advice, I think if there's something that you see that doesn't make sense, this could go for business or this could go for investing advice. It's probably wise to continue to ask questions until you can get a thorough understanding where you can explain it to someone. And if you can't explain it to someone, I've made investing mistakes in my past because I thought I knew it, but I didn't. If you cannot explain it to another human being and it doesn't make sense to you, it doesn't mean that it's a scam. It does mean that we should probably do some more due diligence. So there's a lesson there. But I learned three major sales leadership lessons that I'm going to submit to you that actually, even though this guy was a scam artist, I learned a lot. And I use these today, not to scam, but to influence in a powerful way. And let me just say this up front. If scam artists are able to do something illegal and unethical, and yet people follow them and are purchasing from them or for them or literally just giving them money, if you have a product or a service or a business that you believe can help and serve people legitimately, shouldn't we be more influential than a scam artist? Right? Silence is not a good thing in our life, in our business. When there's silence or there's a void, then typically the negative can go fill that void. And at the end of the day, if you believe that what you're providing can genuinely service mankind, we should be the loudest from the rooftops on sharing whatever that solution is. Does that make sense? Otherwise, you're going to have other people out there that are just more excited to lead people down potentially even a wrong path or not a better path, and sometimes even a scam path. So here's three lessons because as I was hanging around with this person, I will say it was a good time. I will say we met some great people. God always works things together and, puts guardrails up, and we have lifelong friends through this experience now. And there will always come judgment. There will always come some type of retribution, right? There's karma. There's all these things, the laws, and we were safe. But there's three things that I heard this person say as I was interacting with him that stuck as philosophies that are super catchy that I think can help you as well too. Okay. So one thing that this person would say as we were hanging out is just very charismatic, right? So we'd ask him something and he'd always say this and had like this cool tone with it. And he said, it depends who you ask. It depends who you ask. So let's say you ask a question about something. What does someone think about today's economy? Right? His answer would be, it depends who you ask. And it was like a really fun way of saying it. He had this tone that was really charismatic. But what that made me realize is it is true that in our business and in marketing and in sales, it's not necessarily that the truth wins. It's not necessarily that the facts win. In business leadership, it's not necessarily that the objective facts win. Perception is truth for people. Perception is truth. So it really does depend who you ask. You can take anything in life. For example, let's talk about iPhones. Team Apple versus Team Android. You can have the objective facts of what the iPhone is and what it's all about, and the Android and what it is and what it's about. But you can talk to somebody that loves Apple and they will say Android is not even close in comparison. Apple is the way to go. It's the best phone that's out there. Then you have the flip side and you have the Android people say, technically speaking, Apple is not good. Take a look at Android and look at all the specs and everything. By the way, comment below, are you an Apple person or are you an Android person? I have both, right? So I'm not biased to either one of them. So it really does depend who you ask. And it's so important that we in business as leaders understand that it's not the truth that win, that there's actually multiple layers and caveats to the truth. So we cannot be so blindsided and naive to think that only our perspective is right. I deal with this in leadership all the time. Steffi says Team Android. Awesome. So you will deal with a teammate situation, a leadership situation, and it's people come up and be like, this person did this to me and it was horrible. And what I'll do is I start to realize that I don't take things for face value. Because usually, when someone comes up to you with an objection or a situation, they will be emotional. They will have a certain feeling about it, but feelings aren't necessarily um, reflective of what truth is. And in fact, truth many times, unless for me, the Bible is truth with a capital T. But outside of that, I mean, there's many different perceptions. You can look at, I'll just use an example here. If I have this bottle up here and you see this label, you'll see one side of the label and you see the ingredient label. I see the other side, which actually has the actual product name. If I say, I see that this is Advantage, and you say, no, I see the ingredient label, we're both equally right. But you're just seeing it from one angle and I'm seeing it from another angle. Does this make sense? Perception is reality. And it's really important that we understand this because if you're in business and especially leadership, then we're in different perspectives all the time with different things. Things that lead to perspective are what they've been told, what they believe, their perspectives, their life experiences, right? Like their filters. There's so many things that can happen that can lead someone to a different conclusion with the same different facts. So when my scam artist, I don't know if I would call him a friend, scam artist acquaintance said, it depends who you ask. It really is a truth out there. Truth is not true typically, right? What's important is understanding someone's perspective. So if you go into the marketplace, if you go in as a business leader, understanding that what you see might not be truth for someone else. And we have that humble submission and we actually ask other people, what's your perspective? You're going to get some interesting answers so that you can see their perspective. So this is how I deal with drama in the team. I hear something come up and I say, well, what did you see? What's your perspectives? What did you hear? What's your notion on this? And I get that one perspective. And then I'll go to the other party and I'll say, what did you see? Same set of facts, but they have a different perception. They have a different skew on it. And I'll take a look at that. And the truth is, both of them might be right, even. So it really does depend who you ask. Perceptions are so important. So aim to see the other person's perspective in business, in sales. Same thing too. Hey, I got a business that I'm super pumped up about that I think is the best in the world. And I know what can get us really wrapped up and struggle and we're struggling with is when you talk with a prospect about your product, your business, your opportunity, and they don't see eye to eye with you. You say this is the best thing since sliced bread. They say that is one of those things. That's just like junk. Like that's a perception. So instead of getting offended, why not lean in and get understanding? Because remember, it depends who you ask. It's all about perception. So instead, go ask the question, hey, why do you feel this way? Let me hear the story. What did you think about XYZ? And when you understand someone else's perception, and then you take a look at your perception, what's our job? Our job as sales leaders, as business people, as entrepreneurs, as marketers is to understand where they're coming from and then ethically educate and inform people to have a different perception about what there is. Remember, people do things and buy things because they've seen certain things, believe certain things, and then they eventually take action. I do things a certain way because I have certain perceptions about what I do and why I do it. So if someone's not taking the action, whether that's buying your product or joining your business or going after something that you feel in alignment with as a sales leader, then we have to understand where are they coming from? Where am I coming from? How do I meet them where they're at? And then bring them to the same perspective that I have as well too. I hope that makes sense. If you're still with me, put a 1 in the comments below. So first business lesson I learned from this scam artist is it really does depend who you ask. Perception is everything. He would then say another interesting thing as we went around. And he was always on the phone just talking to people. And I thought it was for business at first. And later on, I realized no, these were just fake things and, just kind of a ploy that he set up. But after these calls, he would always say this. He would have this funny gesture. And I want to do it for you because it's so important for sales leadership. Is I would ask him, "Hey, what are you doing?" He's like, "I'm filling in the pipeline. I'm filling in the pipeline. I keep the pipeline full. Keep the pipeline full." So you do this thing with his hands. And it's like, imagine you're literally filling in a pipeline with leads, right? Why do you not have more business or why are you not getting paid more in your business? Period. The only thing, and one of my mentors, Tim Sales, who is not a scam artist, who is one of the most ethical human beings and professionals that I know in the space of network marketing, a goat, right? Greatest of all time. And he literally has a business concept called the pipeline. It doesn't matter what you're selling. It could be a school, it could be for church, it could be for your business, it could be for your product. There is a natural process in the sales pipeline where if you have X amount of contacts and then you set appointments and then you present to them and then you follow up with them, X amount will buy, join, do whatever, right? If 10 people look at your product, maybe one or two will buy. If 100 people take a look at your product, maybe 10 or 20 will buy. So it's important to understand that if you don't like the results in your business, if you don't like your revenue, if you don't like your income, it's because we don't have enough in the pipeline. And we get so lost in the little minutia and the distractions of life. And we start majoring in minors, things like offense and drama, gossip in the team. Oh, they did this. Look at what happened there. Things like blaming things that are not in our control, right? In network marketing, we're partnered with the company. So we have an interesting partnership where they make the products and they do things to help us in the field to go sell the product. So it's easy to point the finger and be like, well, if the company did this, our job would be so much easier. It's easy to point blame at leaders or partners in the team. Maybe you're in a sales organization. They say, well, you see what John did? You see what Sally did? Because they're like this and I'm in their organization. Well, if they had this, it'd be so much better for me. Well, those all might be valid points. It's a victim mindset because it really doesn't matter. The only thing that matters if you want to increase your paycheck in your business is do you have more people in your pipeline? Are you keeping it full? Some people have a good result for a little bit. They start their business, they launch it, they promote, they get super excited, and then they get into management mode and they get lost. And all of a sudden, they put their foot off the gas and they don't keep their pipeline full. So ask yourself this question daily in your business. If you want to make more money, what are you doing to keep the pipeline full? Are you connecting with new people? Are you joining networking groups? I'm going live, for example, right? I'm building content. Today, I do batch content creation. So I literally filmed for like an hour or two. I have 22 reels ready to be edited, ready to go out. And that's going to be ready for the next 2 weeks full of content. Right. So these are ways that I'm using to generate leads. What are you doing to generate leads and to keep your pipeline full? Whatever that it is, you have to make sure it's always full, always full. I believe until you're retired. Our job as a sales leader, the primary thing is not to look good, is not to talk good. It's to keep my own pipeline full because I cannot lead someone else to build their business if my pipeline's full. When was the last time you recruited someone? When was the last time you sold something? When was the last how many presentations did you do this last week? How many new prospects saw your product, saw your opportunity, saw everything? If the answer is I don't know, that's why my mentor would say this. I'm not saying this to you. My mentor would say this. If the answer is I don't know, that's why you make I don't know money. Oh, that hit me. I'm like, okay, I got to go track the main things and go make sure and go figure it out. There's so many different ways to keep the pipeline full. So I learned this from my scam artist acquaintance that the reason why he was able to continue to live and thrive and live like the crazy life is he always kept the pipeline full. He had prospects for a scam. And hey, a scam will work if you talk to enough people. Even unfortunately, even things that are not true, even things that hurt people will work enough if you talk to enough people. But you have to keep your pipeline full. I hope that makes sense. It's the truth of the matter. Okay. And the last thing that this scam artist acquaintance would say is he was big on leadership. He had a lot of great philosophies, and it's unfortunate that just ethics got caught in the way or whatever happened. I don't know, but he took the wrong path, right? But the third thing that he would always say when it dealt with leadership, and he'd do this when he was doing some team meetings and he wanted to make some big statement, is he would always say with conviction, move the needle forward. Move the needle forward. And what that meant was, as a leader, our job is to continue to move the needle forward in your business. Leaders cast the vision, they show the way, they go the way no matter what. You know what happens a lot of times? This is where sales leaders get off, is we lose moving the needle forward. We get into a place of management mode, for example, and we say, well, if my team moved, then I'll move. We say, well, we don't want to offend our team and they have issues. So I want to make sure I can solve that and then we'll move the needle forward. I want to make sure I don't leave anyone behind and then I'll move the needle forward. Life gets in the way. Well, time is crazy right now. Church obligations, family obligations. I mean, take a look. Like, there's things that are happening. So once that season is done, then I'll take it serious and then I'll move the needle forward. Maybe going back to blame game. If the company did this, then we'll move the needle forward. If the government only did this, then we'll move the needle forward. Oh my gosh, this last season, politically speaking, I won't talk much about politics, but I will say I've seen a lot of people get distracted. Regardless of who's in charge of the company or who's in charge of a country or who's in charge of whatever, as a business leader, it's our prerogative, it's our priority, it's our responsibility to move the needle forward for the people that have been called to you. And at the end of the day, I've realized through 14 years working with the same compensation plan, I've been through multiple governments. I've been through multiple political changes. I've been through multiple economies. I've been through COVID. I've been through company bankruptcies, company name changes, leaders leaving, leaders coming, all types of things. But at the end of the day, the only thing that's caused our business to do something different was when we decided to do something different. When we as a leader took full responsibility for our flock, our business, and said, it doesn't matter what else is going on out there, we're going to move the needle forward. Case in point, someone needed to hear this today. I remember our organization growing up, we came from in network marketing, a very traditional type of build, which I love, which still works. You call it belly to belly building. So back in the day, the only way we get business is when someone gets started, we sit down with them, get their list, start sparring with them on role playing with them on how to do a phone call, do an invitation. We get them on the phone, they'd be shaking their hand. We get on a three-way call. We go set up an appointment, go demonstrate the product, go talk about the business. Obviously, that still works today. But that was happening. And at the same time, though, people are starting getting tired. And we started to think to ourselves, what if we could utilize anything online? Like, we have this social media thing, we have internet. Like, we see other people and other businesses doing something. Like, why don't we consider adding on technology? Not to replace, but to amplify. And unfortunately, our leadership didn't agree. They didn't want to do anything. So, where most other people go is they blame. They say, well, my leader did this. If they got this system, they got with the program, then that's going to make my life so much easier. We decided to do where no one else did. We went up to our leaders respectfully and we submitted our idea. And we said, hey, we love you. We're still connected. But do you mind if we try some things and experiment with it? All right. So, in an honoring way, we're not dissing them. I don't know until it's proven. And they said, yeah, go for it. And guess what? We started experimenting with how to go online. And we made a lot of mistakes, right? We were just pioneering something from nothing. And guess what? 1 year later, COVID happened. And it forced everyone to go online. By then, we had already been practiced. We had some systems in place, and we were able to be we were one of the only teams during that time to not just survive, but thrive through COVID. Because as the leader, we moved the needle forward. And now it's just taken on life to another level, right? Now the team's just exploding. Without the internet, we wouldn't have the organization and the team and the business and the customers that we have right now. But it's because back in the day, as a sales leader, we said, we're going to move the needle forward. You get to move your needle forward. What are you going to do when there's a challenge? The level of the problem you're facing right now that's taking you down is the same ceiling that's keeping you stuck there as well too. Here's some questions to ask. Is the challenge you're facing something that someone else has solved before? If it is, let's go figure it out. Have you asked somebody a question to actually go solve that? Right? Here's another question. What are some things, let's be honest with ourselves. What are some things that find ourselves either complaining about to other people? If we're fired up enough about something to share with someone else, first, that's probably killing your business because um, things that are not productive when we share and we complain are just excuses for ourselves to not go solve the problem. It makes us feel like we're being productive and it justifies ourselves so that we don't have to do anything about it. So be very mindful of what you put in your mind, what you put in your mouth, because the words that come out are a reflection of what's on the inside. So I want to be very mindful that if I'm going to say something, that it's productive, that it's solutions oriented. So here's a good habit to have. If you find yourself talking about a problem, bring a solution with it. And if you don't have a solution with it or proposed one, or you don't want to find one, don't talk about it at all. Complain about it to God. He can take grapes all day. But also understand that even if you're praying to God, He doesn't want you to stay in complain mode. Right? It says in Philippians 4 that don't worry about anything, don't be anxious about everything, but pray with supplication everything. And then the peace of God that transcends understanding will protect your heart and mind in Christ Jesus. So you cannot just continue to complain and stay there. Even if you're a person of prayer, you have to be transformed as you pray. And if you don't, you're just complaining. Does this make sense? So I have to mind myself because I can find myself in complain, woe is me, victim mindset all the time. So as a leader, our job is to move the needle forward. It's no one else's job. As an entrepreneur, you get paid the value you bring to the marketplace. If you don't like your check, go do something about it. Don't expect anyone else to do something about it. In fact, if you wait for someone else to do it, guess what? They took the opportunity. They're going to get the pay. And you might be waiting, but do you want to wait on your life? Do you want to wait on your goals? Go figure it out. Go solve the problem. Leaders move the needle forward, and especially during a challenging time. How well are you moving the needle forward? I learned that from this scam artist acquaintance. He'd moved the needle forward in the wrong direction, but it was so powerful, you know? So at the end of the day, once again, my goal is not to talk about being a scam artist. He went to jail. Do things ethically, morally, with integrity and everything. Even if you do something unethically, it will come back and bite you for sure. But if you're in business, I'm going to assume that you're in a legitimate business with legitimate products, legitimate services, a legitimate thing, and you have a message. I just want to say it one more time. There's three things I learned. Perception's everything. Our job is to constantly fill in the pipeline of new leads and new conversation, new prospects for your offer. And as a leader, your job to move the needle forward. Apply this in the positive way. And I just really want to shake us and encourage us on this. We are in a time right now where there's so much noise around the world. There's so much distraction. There's so much drama. And if you find myself like where I am sometimes, I'm like, man, why can't the world be better? Guess what? It's your job to go make it better. If you feel like the world's being drowned out by negative noise, be the light in the world, the city on a hill that shares a powerful message more powerfully and louder. We need in this generation now people that are sold out and convicted on your beliefs that you believe will service mankind and you have legitimate things to do. And I believe as entrepreneurs, especially, we have such an influential power and a voice in the world and in the marketplace. If we don't do it, scam artists come and they literally take other people's money because void doesn't stay that way. Negative goes into the vacuum. So let's fill it up with your goodness. Let's fill it up with your great message. Let's go fill it up with your entrepreneurship. So if you're down to take on that challenge, put I'm down in the comments below. And I'm going to practice that as well too. I'm going to make sure I'm louder than I ever was before as well too. Cuz man, there's people whenever I don't speak, there's others that are falling for something else that is not that beneficial for them. All right. Hope this was interesting. If it was, let me know any comments below as well. You might consider subscribing to my YouTube. I'll drop continued sales training and leadership tips and stuff like that. So, on that,